joining us now on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm thrilled. How about this? This is great. The man who will be calling the action. One of the great aspects of this season, I'm not just saying that because he's on the phone line before I introduce him, was seeing this man work up close and being with him every single week on Thursday Night Football. Love this man's work, and I love it even more now that I've been exposed to it on such a close basis. Jim Nantz of CBS joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Jim?
I'm well, thank you, Rich, for all those kind words. And I'm up on the suite level here at Gillette Stadium and looking down at the Patriots as they practice down below. And last time I was up here, I was with you.
That's right. Yeah. When we did our show prior to the Jets and Patriots game on CBS Thursday Night Football. I think it was a kickoff to Week 6.
Yeah, it was back in October, and it was good fun. And I loved our collaboration, CBS and NFL Network this year, and I just really hope we get a chance to do it again. It was tremendous fun being in your company.
Me too, Jim. Right back at you. And that game was right around the outset of Brady having moved on to Cincinnati, and then they moved on to the Jets, and then their season took off and is culminating in an AFC way in this game on Sunday. You just sat down with Bill Belichick. Is there anything that you can share with us prior to your broadcast with Phil Simms and Tracy Wolfson on CBS Sunday?
Well, as you might expect, Coach Belichick plays it all, pretty close to the vest, and he has a great regard for Indianapolis. He emphasized over and over again that the regular season matchup at Indy was a lot closer than the final score indicates of 42-20. Made a big appeal about, hey, let's not forget this was 28-20 early in the fourth quarter. It was a one-possession, one-score game, and they're a lot better team now than they were back then. So, just the usual stuff, tremendous respect for the opponent. I couldn't help myself, but I just love his appreciation of history, particularly around the NFL, and he's marching into this game with 20 postseason wins. Tied for the most with Tom Landry, so I wanted to get a little bit of background material on his association and the number of times he's been was in Landry's company. I spent probably 5 minutes just hearing about his respect and some of the memories he has of going against Tom Landry when he was a young assistant in this league.
No kidding. So the hoodie was going against the hat at one time, in a way, sort of.
He was in a big way, actually. And you're talking about back in the '80s when he was, he was on the staff of Parcells there at New York, and they were in the same division. You're talking at the very last years of Landry's career. He could not come up with ever having walked onto the field and warm-ups or after the game and shaking his hand. But I bring this up because I get such a steady diet of Patriot games through the years. I think this is approaching now 80 broadcasts in 10 years that this crew has done with New England. And during that time, I've asked him, "Hey, did you ever meet George Halas, for example?" He was approaching a record that belonged to George Halas. And lo and behold, one time he said, "Yes, as a matter of fact, I did." And he turned around and gave me one of the great stories that I ever told on the air that ended up getting repeated a lot. This was 6-7 years ago. And recently when I was up at Green Bay with the New England Green Bay game, I asked Bill, had he ever met Vince Lombardi? Well, he actually didn't meet him, but he was in his company. As a young boy, he watched Lombardi address the Washington Touchdown Club.
Unbelievable.
I was just thinking of how fateful that was to have Lombardi in a room addressing a bunch of football fans, and somewhere in that room is some young kid one day who's going to hoist 3 Lombardi trophies and, have his name up there on the Mount Rushmore of all-time coaches along with this guy.
Yeah, I don't know if this is an appropriate analogy, but that's similar to the photograph you see of Bill Clinton shaking JFK's hand,
There you go. And, and like George H.W. Bush when he was a first baseman at Yale, back in what would that have been? That would have been back in the 40s.
Right.
Early 1940, 41. He met Babe Ruth. And there's a picture that exists of him reaching out and asked Babe Ruth for an autograph. But the Clinton comparison is a great one. And in Bill's case, this guy's got an unbelievable memory of plays and situations and people he's met along the way. And he he actually, goes back to the 70s when he was on a staff at Detroit, and Ed Hughes became an offensive coordinator for the Lions after serving 20 years on Landry's staff in Dallas. So he was going against Ed Hughes, and that would mean he was going against the Dallas offense, which he brought with him to Detroit every day in practice when young Billy Belichick was cutting his teeth, as a defensive mastermind. He was going against the Dallas defense. So anyway, fast forward these years later, Tom Landry's name, God rest his soul, is in the discussion around this game because Bill's side by side with him in postseason wins and can move ahead of him with a victory here if he wins on Sunday.
Jim Nantz, who's calling the game on CBS, the AFC Championship game, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And then on the other side is another number 12, Jim, where we might be watching him write history with each snap. Andrew Luck has a major opportunity in his hands this week. How do you see his chances against this Patriots defense in this game, Jim?
I think he'll play well. It's just a matter of will the supporting cast play well. He's faced New England 3 times already in his young career. None of these games have been, as far as the final score, have been close. I just built the case about how this one back in November was a little bit misleading with a 22-point margin. But I've been on site to see these games, including the very first time he went against a Belichick coach team, and he threw 2 pick sixes here at Gillette Stadium. But he's a rookie, and he was going against Belichick for the first time. And his team's a lot better. He's a lot better now. And he'll play well. I don't think there's any question. It's a matter of, are these guys going to continue to step up? The guys like Daniel Boom Herron and Dante Moncrief and guys on defense that have been making plays these last 2 postseason games. And I really sense there's a good vibe inside the Indianapolis locker room. I think they'll come up here and they'll play well. I'm not making any predictions here, but this is not going to be a walk in the park this time.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the game you just called too, Jim Nantz. From sitting on the couch or the green room of NFL Network where I watched that game, Peyton Manning did not look like the Peyton Manning that we have seen and come to know, and certainly for the Colts fans, build that franchise. You had the eye test yourself. What did you see out there in Peyton Manning, do you think?
Well, it definitely was not the Peyton that we've sat back and watched with amazement for the better part of 17 seasons. And look, there's a lot of stuff he likes to keep to himself. Is there more to it than just a bruise or a torn quad or whatever it might be? This last month and a half of the season for that entire Denver team, it was a mystery to me. And I was around, I think, for 3 or 4 of those occasions. I've never seen such a high-level team, an upper echelon team, a defending conference champion that had it going until they came here to Gillette Stadium in early November. I think coming into that game, a lot of people viewed Denver as the best team in football. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a team at that level 2 months later fall apart as much as we watched the Broncos. I don't have any understanding of what happened. It works on both sides of the ball. It was not inspired play. Peyton obviously was hurt, but other people weren't making up the difference for that. And I was stunned. I was stunned to see that Denver, having played so poorly in the month of December, I really thought the extra week, the bye, the rest that this veteran group needed at Denver. I really thought they were going to come back out and look like the Bronco team we saw the first half of the season. And
Jim, it's not just both sides of the ball, it's organizationally too. I mean, John Fox is out. He might be the coach of the Chicago Bears by the end of this conversation, by the way. And it's remarkable how it all went downhill.
Just in a matter of days, you hear rumors, you hear rumblings, and here I was sitting a week ago today in a production meeting with John Fox, who I have a great regard for, and he is a friend. But I wouldn't have ever forecast that there would be this kind of fallout after he had won 4 division titles in 4 years. Everybody thinks he came in when Peyton came in. They forget it. He came in the year before that and took over a 4-12 team and won the division with Tim Tebow as his quarterback. So, there'll be, more wins, many more wins in his future, and I'd really like to see him get that Chicago job. But, boy, did things fall apart. You're right. Organizationally and performance-wise on the field, it was just a mess. And, it makes you wonder, no matter what they do, who who John Elway decides to bring in as his coach. What's this team going to be like next year?
Yeah, exactly.
Will Peyton be the quarterback? And, is it going to be different? Have they missed their window, or does that window still exist?
Jim Nantz calling in, and before I let you go, Jim, I always, whenever I'm fortunate enough to get to talk to you around this time of year, I always bring up the fact that this is just your year just begins at the end of this long football march, where then you go to March Madness, and then the green jacket, the tradition unlike any other. This is your time, Jim. When you think about it, right? This is fun time.
You know what? It's all year round. I love my job. I count my blessings to have this job, and what you're basically, I think you're saying, is we're just a few weeks away, a month and a half away from the month of March getting here, and as soon as we kind of say goodbye to football, we've got this little thing called March Madness around the corner. The NCAA basketball championship, which will be this year in Indianapolis, will be my 30th Final Four. And then the week behind that is the Masters. It's a great 10, 11-week stretch. There's no question about it. But I don't even look ahead. I'm going to sound like one of these coaches in the broken record and the cliche.
One at a time.
1 week at a time.
That's it.
The thing is, honestly, let me tell you where my head is. We get to share the responsibility of calling a Super Bowl every third year.
Mm-hmm.
Fox gets it 1 year, NBC, CBS, we rotate around. And as soon as this game finishes on Sunday, and I'll be out there presenting the Lamar Hunt Trophy to the winner on Sunday here, my mind's really going to be about next year. My first thought's going to be about this next football season. I know there's still a Super Bowl to play 2 weeks out, but we've got Super Bowl 50 on the horizon.
That's right.
That's it'll be a milestone event. It's going to be played up at the 49ers' new stadium, and I'm going to be, as soon as it's over here on Sunday, I'm going to be longing to have a football spotting board to put together and going through my little routine and preparation process that I have, and just anxiously eager to get to that important event, and when it's our turn to take a swing at the plate next year.
Yep, and then it's essentially a home game for you, Jim, because maybe people not know, two Chris's, you may not know, folks may not know, one of the only things that Jim does better than what he does for a living is a vintner, is make wine, and go to thecallingwine.com and taste this man's vino. It is top-notch stuff, Jim. Susie and I, my wife and I, gave it out as gifts this holiday season, and people loved it.
As long as people know that along with my great partner, Peter Deutsch, my business partner Peter, and I came up with this concept 5-6 years ago, and I think sometimes I worry that people know that it is a wine brand that I co-own. They're not going to buy it. That's why my name's not on the label.
Did I do the wrong thing by calling out the calling?
No. I'm having some fun with it, but the calling has been such a fun thing to be a part of. It's one of the reasons we moved out to California, and this past year we went on to the 6,000 account mark. We're on 6,000 wine lists across the country, so it's not some small little hobby on the side. It's one of the fastest growing premium wine brands in the country, and I love the fact that people are buying it. And you walk into a restaurant and you see it on a table, and it's a thrill. You see it on a wine list, it's a thrill.
The 2009 season was dry, arid, perfect for that Cabernet Sauvignon, right?
Look at you, Law. He's trying to sound like he's.
The tannins just explode.
Oh, wow! Look at you.
There you go. You got to try our Pinot Noir and our Chardonnay from Dutton Ranch down in Russian River Valley. I put that up against anybody's.
Yeah, but Chris Law was referring to Ryan Tannen's Hill, I think, right there.
I got you.
That's the way.
Very good play on words there, my man.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for calling in.
We will have next year the Super Bowl. I'll be able to, if I want to, sleep in my own bed. I've already clocked it because I've had some 49er games, 78 miles door to door.
Yes. You sound like Al Michaels now, Jim. He does.
Al is a great pal, and I know he's a good friend of yours, and I love the guy.
Yeah, I know.
Al's always got, just as we all do. You love the games, you love the excitement of it, and then you love to figure out as quickly as you can how to get back home.
That's right. Jim, thanks for calling in. I look forward to the call. Like I said, I really cherished the fall and being able to watch you work and be around you and the CBS crew. And thanks for calling in on the program.
You keep talking about calling. I appreciate you, calling me.
Hey, That's
talking about the calling. But
Yes.
let me just mention on the way out of here.
Yes.
We're going to be in the Super Bowl city that week.
Okay.
With the Waste Management Phoenix Open with Tiger Woods competing.
Well,
So
stop
I trust
on
you're
by.
going to be there that week.
Yeah,
you
we'll
might
be there.
You might want to come out and hang out in the booth. I'd love to have you.
Please,
again.
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We're in.
There you go.
That's an all-inclusive invite.
No,
right,
it's not.
Jim?
No, it's not.
Well, Rich needs an entourage.
Leave Jim
so
alone.
It's cool.
Leave Jim alone.
Bring the entourage. Why
Okay.
not?
All right. Why not? We'll do it. We're in. Thank you. Don't add.
So we'll.
Yes.
It's going to be a wild scene. It always is. One of the great,
Yeah.
most spectated events in golf. And they get like 180,000 people on Saturday alone.
That's
so
right.
come on out, Lance Sparrow and the crew would love to see it.
I'd love to do it.
Sit up in the 18th tower. And,
Oh, wow. In. Thank you. In.
Hang out.
Thanks, Jim.
all right, guys.
Goodbye, friend. There he goes. There's Jim Nantz.
Amazing.
The
The
Rich
best.
Eisen Show.
The best.
He is
Weekdays
the
at
best.
noon
I could
Eastern.
listen to him tell stories all day. One of the greatest storytellers I've ever
audience.
been around. Incredible.